Good evening. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the late night chat with the womb therapist. I'm excited about tonight. We are going to be discussing the human papillomavirus as well as discussing chronic bacterial infections and repeat yeast infections. I know that it's something that a lot of women suffer with. And so let me go ahead and begin to invite you all into the room. Hello. Welcome. So I'm just inviting a few folks to the live. All right, I think we're good. All right, so hello, welcome. Make sure you guys share out this live for me if you don't mind. You guys are popping in, and I see that, hey, welcome. Now, yesterday I went live in a group, so I didn't go, okay. Thank you, Nissa. Thank you for tuning in from Massachusetts. I wanted to see make sure the comments were working because remember we had a little technical difficulties yesterday in our group, and I wanted to make sure that it was working on here. So we're going to be talking about a very popular, maybe taboo, but it's a popular thing that's happening with people, and that is, hey Tina, thank you, beautiful. Hey Trish. So we're gonna jump right in. What I'm gonna do is what I always do is shed light on what you're experiencing from the emotional perspective when you're dealing with HPV, bacterial vaginosis, fungal infections, and things of that nature. I'm also going to speak about the physical perspective and then things that you can do to correct that. All right, so let's get started with BV. A lot of women suffer with bacterial vaginosis. And thank you to those of you who are sharing the live, who are doing watch parties. If you're doing a watch party, remember, I can't see those questions until after the live ends. And so sometimes if it's still going, I can go in there and answer any questions that may be happening. Good evening, Kim. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. So thanks for sharing. Thanks for the watch parties. If you're here watching the replay because the live has ended, thank you for watching the replay, #replay, so that I can know that you were here. So I want to talk about bacterial vaginosis first, okay? So from the emotional perspective, BV, anger at a mate, sexual guilt, punishing the self, and guilt always seeks punishment. So you have to answer those questions for yourself. Who are you angry at? Do you need to let this person go? Also, let me lean in a little bit. Do you need to let somebody else's man go? Somebody else's husband go? Okay? Because sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you're the side chicken, you know it, you don't want to believe it, and you think that you're attracting it sexually, and it's only when you have sex with this person that you contract bacterial vaginosis. So it's not that it's because it's sexually transmitted. You're angry at that mate. A lot of y'all are angry that he's not choosing you. So anger at a mate, sexual guilt, punishing the self. Guilt always seeks punishment. Showing up where he is, stalking him, doing different things. We have to stop doing that, ladies. It's okay. Let that man go. Who you want, what you need, what's for you will come to you. I'm sorry. Turn around. Will come to you when you do what it is that you're supposed to do. Okay? So, you got to tell yourself the truth. I'm a firm believer in telling yourself the truth. If you don't tell yourself the truth, well, why would you tell me the truth? Right? So let that man go if he's not your man. Get that lady back her husband. Because a lot of the time, I'm telling you, in a lot of the cases, that's what's going on with BV. Is that you're angry at this person for not choosing you, not putting you first. Or you're staying in relationship with your man and you know that he's out here doing things with other people and you don't like it. In either case, let that man go. So that you can attract, because this is the thing, and I always say this quote from James Allen's As a Man Thinketh. If you haven't read that book, read it. Man doesn't attract what he wants. Man attracts what he is. So you're attracting a mirror image of yourself. And sometimes we outgrow people. And so if you're not there anymore and you're no longer in alignment, chuck them up. Move on. Okay? So that's what it is from the emotional perspective. Bacterial vaginosis is anger at a mate, punishing the self, sexual guilt, and punishing the self. So from a physical perspective, you're dealing with weak kidneys. You're dealing with stagnant lymph in your kidneys. So sometimes you can be experiencing lower back pain or lower back pressure. Okay? And then in some cases, I've had women where we've processed through the emotional baggage. We've done all of the work. We've done V-steaming. We've done all of the things, right? And they still feel like they have BV because of this odor, this pungent odor. In most cases, a fishy odor. But there was one case that I had where it was actually what was in her colon, right? A lot of us don't detox enough. A lot of us don't do colon cleanses enough. And your uterus literally sits on top. Your intestines literally sit on top of your uterus. And so what she was smelling was coming from her colon. And it was a very impacted colon. And when she addressed the colon, detoxed her body, cleansed out her colon, the smell went away because she wasn't having any of the other symptoms. She was just so used to having chronic BV that because it was an odor, that's what she thought it was coming from. All right. And so we've already discussed body odor and vaginal odor in another video or on a different live. But to reiterate, when you're dealing with vaginal odor, you're dealing with too many proteins in your body. You're dealing with an impacted colon. Right. So you have to get rid of the toxicity. You have to get rid of the wastes. Right? So that's BV. Weak kidneys. Lymphatic system is not functioning well in your kidney areas. Your lymphatic system is the sewer system that takes out the trash. So it's stagnant. It's not moving. All right? And that is what's causing you to have those repeat bacterial infections. Let's talk about yeast infections for a second here. So yeast infections from the emotional perspective is denying your own needs. How many of us are running around here doing everything for everybody else, but then we get to ourselves last? Ladies, because it's something that we just do, okay? So yeast infections from an emotional perspective, denying your own needs, not supporting yourself. So that looks like you taking care of everybody else, giving yourself your leftovers. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. All right. So let's talk about what fungus is from an emotional perspective, because I want to address that as well. Because when you're dealing with yeast infections, they are fungal infections. So I like to come up with different perspectives. So from the emotional perspective, a fungus is stagnating beliefs. It's refusing to release the past, all right? Letting the past rule today. You always hear me say that. Stop allowing the past to rule today. There's a lot of women out here suffering with IBS, fungal infections, and things of all sorts because they're not willing to let go of the past. Let it go. I had one client that refused to divorce her husband. He still was with the other woman. He still did everything. She still functioned as his wife. It doesn't matter that you didn't sign the divorce papers. Like, we got to let that go. And you suffering every single day. And then when I bring it up to you that, you're holding on to the past. No, I'm not. Okay. I can't, if you don't see it, this is the thing, people. If you are unwilling to acknowledge what you have going on, you can never heal from it. You cannot heal from what you're not willing to acknowledge. So it starts with telling yourself the truth, acknowledging the real, what's reality, okay? So that's what fungus is. It's stagnating beliefs. It's refusing to release the past. It's letting the past rule today. We have to learn to live in the present moment, be joyous, and be free, all right? And stop denying our own needs and taking care of everybody except ourselves properly. Giving from that empty cup or that half full cup. It needs to be flowing over. You need to be giving from your saucer. You need to have more than enough. The cup needs to be running over. Nobody really wants you at 50%. Nobody wants you at 70%, right? So that was one of the things I wanted to look up. And I also wanted to look up infection. Let's see what that says. So infection is irritation, anger, and annoyance. So when we're experiencing these infections, bacterial infections or fungal infections, let's think, who's irritating us? Who's annoying us? Who's causing us to be angry? Who are we angry with? Right? So the thing is this, once you start identifying the stressors in your life, take action. Start doing something about it. It might not be overnight. It might not be 6 months. It might not be a year. Create your plan. There's a lot of you that need to create your exit strategy. There's a lot of you that I said for BV, leave that woman's man alone, that you're like, I ain't ready. And that's okay. But you need to get ready. Because the thing is, you're causing your body more harm than good, because you're always stressed out. You're always worried. You're always waiting for that phone call. You always wonder if you're going to be chosen today. You always want to, just all of the things that you experience when you're in those kinds of relationships. Or if you are the one that's in the relationship and it's actually your man, you're always wondering if you're going to find something today. Start your exit strategy, because you know when you need to let somebody go. You know that. Nobody can determine that but you. All right? So that is what bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections are from the emotional perspective. Now, yeast infections from the physical perspective is a sign of weak adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are responsible for metabolizing your sugars in order for you to utilize them. So when your adrenals are weak, you're not metabolizing them properly in order for your body to utilize them. And so that is why, from a physical perspective, you continue to have chronic yeast infections. So the other thing is, look at what you're doing. Are you up all night dealing with insomnia, which is a whole nother story? It's a sign of weak adrenal glands too. But if you're not getting a proper night's rest, you're depleting your adrenal glands. If you're eating poorly, you're depleting your adrenal glands. If you're constantly in fight or flight and you're always stressed, you are doing things to deplete your adrenal glands. They are tied back to your mood. So if you're moody, if you're anxious, if you're exhausted, fatigued, tired, adrenals, they need restoration. Okay? So when we are dealing with chronic repeat yeast infections, from the physical perspective, the dead giveaway is that your adrenal glands are weak and you need to restore the function so that when they properly metabolize your sugars, you will not have a yeast infection. But from the emotional perspective, stop denying your own needs. Stop allowing people that annoy you, anger you, and irritate you be in your life. All right? So there are the things that how we contribute to these issues. So we need to be the one to make the changes and make the decisions that will keep us from contributing to these issues. All right? Nothing changes until something changes, right? Nothing changes unless something changes. So that is that. Let's talk about HPV really quickly, all right, which is also a virus. So HPV is a result of acid and the weakening of cells, all right? So you guys know that I've helped, I don't even know how many women at this point, reverse their HPV. And I'm going to share with you how I've done that. So HPV is a result of acid and the weakening of cells. So virals are proteins. Proteins create high levels of acidosis in the body, which weaken the cells, right? So I'm talking about your animal products, all the meat you're eating, all the bacon, eggs, and cheese, and all animal products, right? You got to stop eating that stuff because you're contributing to your cells being weak. And just like with any other virus, herpes, coronavirus, HPV, I told you, you are more susceptible to viral loads when your tissues are weak because you don't have the fight, okay? The immune system is weak. When it's alkalized, when you're eating good and you're keeping up with your hydration in your body and your cells are strong because you've strengthened them through the things that you do to boost your immune system, your body is able to fight things off. So virals love weak cells. That's why y'all wearing these masks, weakening your immune system, depleting your oxygen, breathing in O2, suppressing things and making things worse than what they are. All right. So when round 2 comes around in October, November with this flu, with this, trust me, they're going to be, this amount of coronavirus cases because they've created weak immune systems within you because they've told you what to do and you've done it and not asked a question. You just do what you're told. You don't think about if this makes logical sense. Okay, and I already talked last week about the people who tried to drag me for filth when I put a post up about the mask, but we'll see how they're faring out in October. We'll see how the people who say, I can breathe with my mask. Okay, if you're going to lie to yourself, you ain't going to tell me the truth. So I'm not going to worry about it. Everybody knows that's put on a mask. They know, you know that you can't breathe in it. Okay, let's tell ourselves the truth. I also posted a video where a man was doing a test with the mask off and with the mask on. Okay, and the mask, when he had the mask on, the thing started beeping immediately because the O2 to the brain and the body was way below what it should be. Go back and watch that. Go look at that post on my timeline. Okay, it has a gray little covering over it. And it says some of this information is false. Notice that they're saying some of the information is false. Whatever, you can still click into it. Watch that video and watch how that guy, what his numbers are when he's breathing normally, regularly. And then as soon as he puts a mask on his face, the thing starts beeping because it's not enough oxygen. Okay, and when you breathe in your own O2, you weaken your immune system. So this is how people who are getting the virus, their tissue is already weak. So please stop saying people that are perfectly healthy are contracting the virus. No, they're not. First of all, nobody's perfectly healthy. But when you take pretty good care of yourself and you eat well, you have a good diet, you stay hydrated, you eat a lot of raw foods in your diet, you cut out the animal products and proteins, you have a healthier body. You are less likely to contract a virus. Okay? Makes sense? Hope it's making sense. And I know that masks are mandatory, but mandatorily put them over your ear and tuck it under your neck. Nobody can make you cover your mouth and your nose. If you can't breathe, you can't breathe. There are people who literally have lung conditions that can't breathe. If they wear a mask, they will die. Whatever you have to say. Play their game. If we're going to be a part of their system, play their game. I'm totally against mask wearing. But guess what? I wanted to get in Publix the other day because they got some things that I need to get out of there, right? So I put the mask around my ear and around under my chin. I'm not covering my nose and mouth. Nobody can make me do that. All right? It's a mandate. It's not a law. I got to go ship customers' items, right? The post office like, don't walk in our post office. Around my ear, underneath my chin. And it makes my skin itch. So I can imagine the chemicals that are in them. So put around your ears and tuck it up under your chin. Nobody can make you cover your nose and your mouth. It's yours. Stop letting us allow people to punk us into doing things that we don't want to do or that we're not comfortable with doing. You don't have to do anything. All right? Play the game. That's what Earth is. It's a school. We're here to learn a lesson. It's a big game. This is an illusion. This is a matrix. And right about now, I really feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone when I walk around and I see all these people masked up, like Twilight Zone. Back to the topic at hand. So HPV is a result of acid in the weakening of cells. Virals are proteins. Proteins create high levels of acidosis in the body, which weaken the cells. And virals love weak cells. So what do you need to do to correct the issue of human papillomavirus? Because all it is in your vaginal cavity, you're dealing with a lot of acidity. When acidity is present, it chews on cells wherever it is, okay? And all cancer is damaged cells. So when you're dealing with cells being chewed on in your head cavity, you may be dealing with vertigo, tinnitus. Well, that's fluid in the ear too. But anything like memory loss, MS, certain things that you're dealing with head cavity wise, that's because acid has been being chewed on for a long time in your head cavity. Twilight Zone, Suzanne, Father God. So acid's been chewing on the tissue in your head cavity. So this is why if you don't correct those issues of having memory loss early on, you're signing yourself up for dementia and Alzheimer's, because you're going to have continued years of chewing and decaying of cells because of acids burning them up. All right? And corroding them. So that's what's going on. So what you need to do is you need to move the stagnant lymph in that area. You have to move the lymph. At the base of all problems, at the root of all problems, 99.9% of man problems are found in his or her lymphatic system, the sewer system that takes out the trash. And that system is stagnant as a result of poor kidney filtration, poor, weak kidneys not doing their job. They are not filtering the uric acid that needs to be filtered like it should. So the little bit that leaves, the rest of it is backing up into your body until it gets to your head cavity. All right? This is when we're dealing with autoimmune disease because the acid is locked in. We're dealing with dandruff. We're dealing with eczema and psoriasis. The acid's trying to leave your body through your skin. You name it. Whatever is going on, it's a result of that acid. So when you get tested at your gynecologist, right? They scrape your cells, look under a microscope. What do they say? You have precancerous cells. Which I don't understand how they know it for that, but they don't know it for cancer in general. But we won't go there. Allopathy. We will not go there. So when they scrape it, look underneath the microscope, they see precancerous, or what they call squamous cells. And if they've ever showed you a picture of it, you can see what a normal cell looks like, and then you can see what a squamous cell looks like, and it starts to look weird. It's not a perfect circle. It kind of looks like it's squished, for lack of better words. So it starts to take on a different shape, and that's because the acid is burning it up and it's deforming the way that it looks, right? So it's changing your cellular makeup. So squamous cells are precancerous cells. So what that means is it's on its way to cancer if you don't take care of the acidity. Correct? Is this making sense? I hope it is. So I've created a womb healing tea and douche blend. Yes, you can douche because this is all natural. These are herbs. They are soothing. This is not your over-the-counter Summer's Eve vinegar to knock off your pH balance. That's not what this is. I know you've been told not to douche, and that was correct information. But when you're douching with the right thing, you absolutely can douche. I just told you I've lost count of how many people I've helped reverse HPV. Okay? So you have to change your diet. Number one, first and foremost, you got to change the things that you're putting in your body. Every time you eat a cooked meal, you leave behind acidity. This is why it's so important for you to up your raw food intake. I'm not saying that you have to become a raw foodie. It's not what I'm saying. But you need to learn how to keep your day mostly raw. You need to learn how to eat one cooked meal a day, void of meat and dairy. You do need to do that. Because if not, you're going to continue to bring in the things that create the problems that you're having. You are contributing to this issue. This is not just happening to you. This is not just that it was passed down genetically. You are contributing to the issue. Take responsibility for the part that you play in this, okay? So we're talking about how we need to correct HPV. We need to move our lymph because it's stagnant. We need to strengthen our cells, all right? How? By cleaning up the body. We clean everything else, y'all. We'll clean that pool out. We'll clean that fish tank out. We'll clean out our garage. We clean our houses. We clean babies' diapers. We never think to detox our temples. And we give it crap every single day. You have to clean up the body. We have to clean the inside of our bodies, which is in the form of detoxification. All right, so what can we do to correct our BV, our yeast infections, our HPV? You can use my womb healing tea and douche blend, as I just stated, to clean out your vaginal cavity. Okay, it's going to pull out acids, toxins, mucus. It's going to pull all of those things down and out. You're going to douche for 14 consecutive days at bedtime. Why at bedtime? Because when you go to sleep, your body's at rest. There's no friction. You're not doing a whole bunch of moving around. And even though what's going in there will eventually come out, at night, those things can start to heal and repair themselves because you did it right before you went to bed. All right. So douching will not only clean out the vaginal cavity, it will strengthen the vaginal walls. It will strengthen your tissues. So this is why when people come to me for HPV and they get their next pap smear and it comes back all clear, it's because they pulled the acids out. They've pulled the toxins and the mucus out. They've strengthened the vaginal walls by washing them down for 14 consecutive days with that herbal blend that does amazing things. Most cases, I tell people, if you're going to douche with it, also get another container to drink. Drink it 2 to 3 times a day. So drinking it 2 to 3 times a day and then actually cleansing out the vaginal cavity for 14 consecutive days. I'm telling you, I've not met one who didn't get good results, who did not reverse their HPV, because all pre-squamous cells are a sign that cancer is on the way, because acid is chewing up cells. So if I cleanse the vaginal cavity, strengthen the tissues using a method that is pulling out mucus and acids and toxins, the things that you're suffering with, they're going to disappear. The symptoms are going to disappear. So when they put those cells back under the microscope, they're going to be regular normal cells. So you literally change the cellular makeup by cleaning out that vaginal cavity. All right. So 2 weeks, 14 days to convert the cells back to normal. And so what I tell people to do is sit in a tub of water, put your feet together, the bottoms of your feet together side by side, and make sure your legs are out to the side, like my arms are out to the side, and relax and insert make your douche blend like you would a cup of tea. Of course, you're not going to sweeten it. You want to be able to touch it with your finger, your hand, and it's warm enough to bear, because you don't want to burn yourself internally. That skin is very thin and fragile. Okay. Pour it into your douche bottle when it's a lukewarm temperature. Insert your nozzle and squeeze and hold. Okay. Hold for a few minutes. Count to 30 seconds. Count to a minute. Release. Squeeze and hold. And do that until all of your liquid is gone. Okay. 14 days. Then I have people who, they loved it so much, it worked so well. They're regular customers. They buy a container and they douche for 3 days consecutively at bedtime after their menstrual cycle. It helps them to eliminate vaginal odor. It helps them to stay fresh longer throughout their day. It helps them to maintain fresh vaginal hygiene. It's great practice. Whenever you're done toning for the month and cleansing out yourself with your menstrual cycle, because that's what a menses is. It's toning and cleansing, because it was waiting for a baby to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It was looking for conception to happen. And when it didn't happen, it's time to slough things off and get rid of all of that thick lining that grew. And so everything comes out with the cycle, right? It's healing and toning itself during that time of the month. If you're bleeding a lot, if you're bleeding heavy, you have lots of toxicity and acidity. But a lot of you are contributing to that by wearing a pad and plugging yourself with a toxic tampon full of chemicals on the thinnest tissue in your body, flooding your bloodstream for hours till you unplug it and then put a new fresh one in there to start it all over again. So your body is bleeding a lot because it's trying to get rid of the toxicity. It's trying to tone. So do what you have to do for yourself. Douche is absolutely fine if you're suffering with chronic bacterial infections, fungal infections such as yeast infections, and if you have HPV. All right. And then if you want to use it as great practice to cleanse out your vaginal cavity after each cycle, it's great. It helps with maintenance. Okay. So We also have to internally fix acidosis. Because if it's in the reproductive area, it's throughout the rest of the body. If it's in the reproductive area, that means your kidneys are weak in general. Your adrenals are down in general. They're the brains of the kidney. The lymphatic system throughout your whole entire body is stagnant. So you have to get things moving. This is where your raw foods come in. Raw foods turn on the lights in the building. Raw foods are electricity. You are eating sunlight. You are drinking sunlight when you juice. You need to understand that. Live enzymes, things that are living when they come from the earth. All right? Nothing from a box of cereal came from the earth. All right? Cereal is not even for human consumption. Lab made, lab created. You tell me where you get any of cereal's ingredients out of the ground from. It's all supplemented with riboflavin and niacin and blah, blah, blah. It's lab created. We should not be consuming cereal. That should not be our first meal of the day. Fresh fruit, a fresh pressed juice, or fresh smoothie. That should be what you're introducing to your body after you've given it water. At least 8 ounces. Okay? So, those are some of the things that you can do. You can detox. You can up your raw food intake, and you can douche with my womb healing tea and douche blend. If you're going to douche with it, make sure you get 2 containers. 1 to drink, 1 to douche with. All right? It's about 20 to 25 servings in each container. So you want to make sure you have enough. But yeah, virals love weak cells. So what do we have to do? We have to strengthen those tissues. And so getting back to what I was saying earlier about cells being damaged, being cancer, you know, we have to stop looking at cancer as a death sentence. No other country does. It just is what it is. We give things a name here. That's what we do. And then we put all this fear around it. And that's why people give up to the will to live and they die. Because they think that cancer is a death sentence, and it's not. You've seen the stories where people have gone all raw, gone on all fruit, gone on all vegetables, all on grape fast. And then guess what? They're miraculously healed from stage 4. It's not a miracle. They worked with their body. They gave their body right conditions so that their machine, their well-oiled machine, could do what it needed to do. What it's created to do is heal itself. But you got to give it the optimal things. You can't go pour milk in your gas tank and expect your car to run. Is that what it runs on? Or does it run on gasoline? And that's what we're doing. We're giving our bodies crap and we're expecting them to run optimally. It doesn't work that way. That is not how that works. You have to give it the right things. That's why when you eat live foods, you get energy. Because that's what you just ate. Energy. Live, living enzymes. You know, and there's a lot of us that want to judge each other. Well, I'm just a pescatarian. I don't eat chicken. I don't eat fish. I don't eat steak. I don't eat chicken or pork. If you eat seafood, you're still eating toxicity, especially if you're eating bottom feeders. Shrimp, crab legs, and anything, catfish, anything else at the bottom of the ocean that doesn't have a filtration system for its meat, that doesn't have gills and fins, and scales to clean its meat, which only a few fish have that. You're eating a lot of toxins. If you notice when you eat seafood, the next day you feel very lethargic, very tired, very exhausted, especially if it was shrimp or crab legs, because you took in all their toxicity. Everything that they swim in their environment is in their meat. The pee, the poop, the everything. All of it. We're eating that. We're taking that on, and our body has to process everything that it takes on. It digests, it absorbs, it utilizes, and then it eliminates. So you're no better than the meat eater, pescatarian. Vegans, we like to say, well, I'm this and I'm that. You know, like you're no better than the pescatarian or the meat eater because a lot of y'all are eating junk. Tofu, all kinds of soy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so nobody's better because your mock meat is not better than animal flesh. It's still processed. Your body still doesn't know what to do with that. It still causes inflammation. So lest we forget, let's not judge one another. You do what you do and let other people do what they do. You do what works for you. I'm going to do what works for me. And that's how it should really be. We shouldn't be judging people for their choices. Okay? So when I come, I simply give information. I'm not judging you if you still eat meat. I'm just saying up your raw food intake. It makes a difference. But if you're really sick, then you really need to eliminate your meat. Okay? So, I think that's all I have for you guys. BV, yeast infections, HPV. Go back to the beginning if you're just tuning in. I talked about what it means from the emotional perspective when you're dealing with those things. I talked about what it means from the physical perspective. You have to move your lymphatic system. You have to detoxify the body. You have to stop running in these rat races and going in circles, because when you are diagnosed with HPV, you got to keep going back for a repeat pap smear. You have to keep going back to get a colposcopy. They're making money off of the test. Okay? They're making money off of the test. Tina, if you could type this in for me, they can go to ilovebeingfresh.com/shop. That's the shop tab. When I'm done with this, actually, I might be able to put it in here. I'll put my link tree in here for you guys right now. And there's a direct link to the womb healing tea. Thank you, Tina, for that. Directly to the womb healing tea. And the thing is this, even if you don't, this is the thing, we wait till we have these conditions to want to correct them. That's backwards. Let's be proactive. Let's give our bodies the detox that it needs in advance. This healing tea, okay, it's called Womb Healing Tea and Douche Blend on the website, but I package it as healing tea if a man purchases it. And it's just an overall great detoxifying tea. It has about 15 different herbs in there that have astringents and those that are soothing. I mean, it does many things. So it's a great detoxifier. If you're not suffering with any of the things that I named on here tonight, we all could use a detox. Okay? We all could use a detox. So drinking that tea is amazing for the body. Nourishing it and soothing it with those herbs 2 to 3 times a day, you're far ahead of the crowd when you do that. Most people are not. They're not doing that. You can have a glass in the morning, mid-afternoon, and then have a glass before bed. Okay? So we have to start giving our bodies the things that it needs. We have to start cleaning it up from head to toe. Moving that lymph, strengthening those tissues, strengthening those cells. Okay? If you missed what I said for HPV, go back and watch the replay. Rewind it. Listen to it as many times as you need to. All right? It's a virus. Virals enter the body because they're susceptible to weak tissue. Thank you, Tina, for posting that. So Tina's posted the website, and I've also posted the link tree with a direct link to the womb healing tea. If you're suffering with this and anything else, feel free to book a consultation. We can start out with a complimentary consultation, or you can do a paid one if you know you need help and you know you need an herbal protocol to heal your body. Okay? So I think that's it for tonight. Let's see what time frame we're on. It's probably like the quickest that we've ever, the quickest, honey. We're gonna let it ride because people don't like long videos. So take care of your body so that your body can take care of you. Dealing with bacterial vaginosis, let that man go. Let him go. I'm not gonna keep beating a dead horse. You know what you need to do. You need to start listening to your intuition. You need to start getting back connected to your womb. It's your GPS. It's your navigation system. But when you're disconnected, you start doing things aimlessly because you're disconnected from the source. All right? So get back connected to your wombs. Ladies, you are powerful beyond measure just because you possess a womb. Okay? Wombed man, nobody can duplicate what we do. Recognize your power and begin to walk in it. Begin to walk in it. If you need tea, again, in the link is the link tree. It's a direct link to the tea. If not, go to the website, ilovebeingfresh.com/shop, and it will take you into the shop. Sometimes it takes a minute to load, so all 3 pages don't load immediately. Give it time, and everything else will load up. How often do you douche? If you're dealing with HPV, it's going to be 14 consecutive days at bedtime. So for 2 weeks at bedtime, you're going to douche every single day. If you are douching after your menstrual cycle, 3 consecutive days at bedtime. Okay? So that is that. You all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.